channel. It's Becky with the good hair. And I just want to let you know, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so. And also like this video because it really helps out my channel. Today, I wanted to talk about, I feel like once again, Taylor Swift. I promise that my channel is not going to become a Swiftie channel. It just feels like now in the media, everyone is obsessed with her. All these creepy misogynistic dudes, red pillars, are coming at her, losing their minds. All the right-wingers hate her. So there's just a lot of material. There's a lot of content out there related to Taylor Swift. So I came across an article that was published 3 days ago, and it still bothers me, and it's bothering a lot of people. So I wanted to talk about it today and go over the most problematic and icky bits of the article. So let's get into it. The article is called "Taylor Swift is Not a Good Role Model." It's an opinion piece that was published in Newsweek, and the author's name is, surprise, it's a dude. His name is Mac Ghlionn. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. And I'm gonna insert a couple pictures here of him just so we can see what Johnny Boy wants us to know about Taylor Swift and whether he thinks she's a good role model for little girls or not, because apparently Johnny Boy thinks that his opinion is relevant and matters. Johnny Boy thinks that we all need to know his opinions on how a successful, wealthy woman is living her life. Okay, we're gonna find out what Johnny Boy has to say. The first portion of the article isn't really that relevant. He talks about the economics or Swiftonomics of Taylor Swift and how she's just incredibly influential in economics and is an incredible asset for corporations when they're trying to market their brand and sell their products. So he's very complimentary of Taylor Swift in that aspect in his article. But then we get into the icky portions of the article where it really goes off the rails. Although her economic impact is extremely beneficial, it's worth asking if Swift's influence extends positively to other areas. More specifically, is she a good role model for young girls in the US and beyond? Numerous pieces have been written explaining why she is. I would like to offer some pushback. Of course he would like to offer some pushback, because it's a dude writing an article about a woman that he doesn't know and has no business writing about anyway. Swift is now the most influential celebrity in America. Her popularity is staggering, and her position as a cultural colossus is unquestionable. At 34, Swift remains unmarried and childless. Oh no. A fact that some might argue is irrelevant to her status as a role model. It's me, hi. I would argue that. But I suggest it's crucial to consider what kind of example this sets for young girls. A role model, by definition, is someone worthy of imitation. While Swift's musical talent and business acumen are certainly admirable, even laudable, we must ask if her personal life choices are ones we want our sisters and daughters to emulate. This might sound like pearl clutching and preaching. That's because it does sound like pearl clutching and preaching, because it is. But it's a concern rooted in sound reasoning. No, it isn't. Swift's highly publicized romantic life has been a source of prime tabloid fodder for years. She has dated numerous high-profile men, at least a dozen. Oh no. Including the singers Harry Styles. Including the singers Harry Styles and Joe Jonas, the actor Jake Gyllenhaal, and more recently, the American football player Travis Kelce. This revolving door of relationships may reflect the normal dating experiences of many young women in today's world. Okay. But it also raises questions about stability, commitment, and even love itself. What? Okay, let's just go through the timeline that this guy is referencing with her boyfriends over the years, because he's, as he said, pearl clutching and preaching. And he said that she dated Harry Styles and Joe Jonas, I looked this up. Joe Jonas, because I was like, that was freaking forever ago, because it was. She dated Joe Jonas in 2008. It is the year of our Lord 2024. That was 16 years ago. As far as Taylor and Harry Styles, they dated starting in 2012. So again, that's more than a decade ago. That's 12 years ago. And then we move on to his reference to Jake Gyllenhaal. They dated in 2010. And that, again, is over a decade ago. So she dated Jake Gyllenhaal 14 years ago. He's referencing relationships that are from well over a decade ago, when somebody's in a completely different stage of life. And again, he said that she's not married. So if you're not married and you want to date and it doesn't work out, you break up and then you date somebody else, like he said, you know, that may be normal. It's because it is normal. If you're not married and you want to date, you're not gonna lock in on one dude for 20 years. That's quite rare. If you want to get married and you're dating somebody for 20 years, most likely in that time frame, you're going to be marrying that person. But if you're in relationships that don't work out, you break up and then you move on to someone else. That's normal. And if she's dating these guys and she's not married, she will date more than one person. And that's not anything to be ashamed of. That's not anything to criticize. This article is obviously incredibly slut-shaming. It goes without saying. He's losing his mind about her dating basically just more than one person throughout the last 20 years. And he called it a revolving door. You know what that means. He's slut-shaming her, which is revolting. After that, Johnny said, should we encourage young girls to see the Swift standard as the norm, something to aspire to? Or should we be promoting something a little more, shall we say, wholesome? Oh my God. So he's whining and bitching about a woman not being married in her mid-30s and, God forbid, going out with men, God forbid, being in committed relationships with men, God forbid, breaking up with these men when the relationships are not working anymore. Again, there shouldn't be anything wrong with that, but this guy thinks it should be 1845. And he wants an alternative that's more wholesome. My assumption, since he doesn't want women going through the revolving door, is that he wants women to marry young and never get divorced, and of course have a Duggar-sized family. Would any loving parent reading this want their daughter to date 12 different men in the span of just a few years? This is not an attack on Swift. It's a valid question that is worth asking. I think that any loving parent, if they are a loving parent, would want their child to do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they are safe and healthy and happy and not hurting anybody. That's what I think a loving parent would do and feel, and the messages they would give to their kids, whether they are men or women, because this guy is slut-shaming women specifically. The superstar's vocal criticisms of the patriarchy add another layer of complexity. Swift's recent rallying cry against patriarchal structures stands in stark contrast to her personal dating choices. The singer often dates strong, influential men, celebrities who embody significant social and economic power. This can appear hypocritical. Is he saying that if a woman dates powerful men, that means that they are being hypocritical to their feminist beliefs and their fight against the patriarchy? Because I don't understand how that would make any sense. I could understand someone saying it's hypocritical if she's dating vehemently misogynistic men. I could understand that being a little hypocritical. Just the idea that she's dating men who are influential and strong. I mean, since she dates men who are famous they're going to be strong and influential regardless of who they are. I don't think that that's hypocritical, and I don't understand why it would be hypocritical. Hypocrisy fundamentally undermines the ability to be a good role model because it involves a contradiction between one's actions and principles or values they publicly advocate. It seems like he's purposely just misunderstanding and misrepresenting what it means to be a feminist and fight against patriarchal societies, because you can date men and still be a feminist. You can date men and still argue against patriarchy. What we're doing as feminists who talk about the problems within patriarchal societies is we're trying to educate people, raise awareness. Also, it's just really important to point out that men can be feminists. There are male feminists. So for all we know, the men she's dating are vocally feminists themselves. So it's not hypocritical for her to be dating men at all. I don't really get what his point is. Swift either doesn't realize this or doesn't care. Neither of the two is a good look. And again, disagree. I don't understand what feminism has to do with dating men, as long as you're making sure to date men that align with your values. And if you realize that they don't align with your values, you make the choice to break up, because it's important regardless of who you are. It's crucial that you're dating somebody who aligns with your values, because otherwise you're not going to be compatible and there's no way that a relationship could move forward. With her massive global following, 283 million followers on Instagram and 33 million TikTok disciples, oh, for God's sakes, Swift impacts how young girls around the globe perceive relationships and success. Her career, which has included chart-topping songs and successful business ventures, is a testament to her work ethic and natural talent. However, the glamorous portrayal of her romantic life can send rather objectionable messages. Moreover, many of her lyrics often depict her as a victim. This might influence young women to adopt a similar perspective in their own relationships, be they romantic or otherwise. Swift is not a victim. She is the most popular musician of all time. Since he doesn't really seem to know the history of her relationships, I'm gonna guess this guy's not an expert on her song lyrics either. Swift's numerous high-profile relationships, while private matters, are constantly in the public eye. New romances become media feeding frenzies, while breakups fuel the gossip columns. This cycle of brief, intense relationships can unintentionally glamorize a type of romantic promiscuity where partners can be replaced as easily as toilet paper. Oh my God. So again, slut shaming. He thinks that just a woman having relationships, several relationships over the course of 15 to 20 years is promiscuous. He thinks basically that any woman who's had, say, more than like 2 or 3 relationships in her entire dating life is a slut. That is so backwards and ridiculous. Again, it is the year of our Lord 2024. It's not 1824. Although breakups can hurt both males and females, it's the latter group that tends to feel more emotional pain. That is a lie. That is just bullshit misogyny, claiming that, you know, women are more emotional than men. In a patriarchal society, we tell men to not express their feelings. Swift makes breakups look easy. In reality, though, they are messy, painful affairs. Only for women, though. Only for women. When in the hell does Swift make breakups look easy? If Taylor Swift made breakups look easy, then she wouldn't have albums talking about her breakups. Writing music is cathartic for people. Creating art out of your pain is a form of catharsis. It's incredibly therapeutic for people. And she's obviously been made fun of and mocked for doing that, for writing about her exes. In what universe does she make breakups look easy when those of us who've gone through breakups and listened to Taylor Swift music and cried. Raise your hand if you've done that. She wouldn't have the career she does if her music wasn't valuable to people. And she wouldn't have an audience if people couldn't relate to it. She shows that they're messy and painful. She's probably used those words verbatim in many of her songs, I imagine. This guy has never heard a Taylor Swift song, I'm gonna assume. Young girls look up to, dare I say, even worship Swift. They view her as much more than just a musician. The narrative of her romantic life, widely publicized, that's what I think of his article, so often sensationalized, presents a certain image of what modern relationships should look like. People are more aware now that marriage and parenthood are choices. They're just choices among many. Don't feel pressured by society, by raggedy, nasty dudes on the internet to get married and have kids if you don't want to. This isn't about moralizing, but about discussing the values we wish to instill in impressionable individuals. He's mad that young girls are seeing a woman who's successful, isn't married, and doesn't have kids. He's mad that young girls are being shown that there's more than one life to live. While it's true that young men need better role models, the same is equally true for young women. Swift and Kelsey may last, and I hope they do. But judging by her record, the odds aren't great. Okay, so he's again slut-shaming her and referencing the fact that she's been in more than one relationship in her entire life. Swift's talent for sparking conversations, driving engagement, and raking in profits is commendable, yet admiration should not blindly follow. Her life, meticulously managed by a PR machine, represents a filtered facade rather than genuine reality. What young girls truly need, perhaps without fully recognizing it, are role models who provide both authenticity and actual depth, rather than artificial narratives and superficial glamour. Could you give us examples of who those role models would be? Just regular, everyday women who are child-free and not married. I think those are commendable examples for women and young girls and are amazing role models. Would he be mad if his daughters, if he has them, are looking up to child-free women, just like everyday child-free women? Does he think that they would be good role models? Yes or no? I'm gonna guess no. I'm gonna guess the only role models that Johnny Boy thinks are acceptable for young girls are trad wives, women who got married incredibly young, had a buttload of kids. I think those are the only role models he wants young girls to have. That's what these type of men do. When they see women decentering men or being more independent, doing things their own way, living life on their own terms, they see it as a direct threat to them. They see it as men being oppressed because women are being independent. I think that child-free women like myself are great role models for young girls because we prove to young girls that you don't have to get married if you don't want to. You don't have to have kids if you don't want to. I also just want to point out too, it's really funny. I saw people talking about this on Threads. It's really interesting that Johnny Boy wasn't bitching a fit about another 30-something childless human. It happens to be Taylor's current boyfriend, Travis Kelce. As far as I know, he's in his 30s and doesn't have kids and is not married. Huh, interesting. I don't see any think pieces about how evil he is and what a horrible role model he is to young men. I don't know, maybe that'll be Johnny's article for next week. We will stay tuned for that, I guess. That's where I will end today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. I hope you're having a great week. Remember, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and like this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.